Yeah, like I said, I don't have an introduction for these.
Hi guys.
What did we say we were going to talk about? I know we had topics.
Just slating bodybuilding.
Slating bodybuilders. I mean, I think I pretty much do that as like my main content stream at the moment.
Yeah.
Which does pretty well.
Yours is the training and mine's just the nutrition.
That's literally it, yeah. Yeah, we should combine forces.
Yeah.
Which is basically what this is.
We'll just sit here and just talk about how we hate. The thing is, I don't actually hate bodybuilding.
I don't either.
I love bodybuilding.
I don't. Literally, it's really weird because I've had loads of like, not loads, I've had loads. I've had a few like physique coaches be like, oh, like, you seem really grumpy about bodybuilding. And I'm like, I'm genuinely not. I just think the standard is so shit. And I think it's, and you'll probably have this, you'll probably had loads of clients from similar big name bodybuilders, and you're like, all right, let me see the plan, let me see the nutrition. And before they send it to you, you know what it's going to be. And you're like, yeah, okay, this is shit. Or this is the same thing the last 10 guys have shown me. And like you and I have talked about like repeated names over and over, like, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Have you seen this? And like the fact I still really like bodybuilding style training. I still like working towards a physique goal. I still think competing is kind of cool. It's not really my thing, but I still think it's kind of cool. I've got clients who are competitors. I've got yourself, for example. But it's just, I think it's just the...
Because you were going to compete, weren't you?
I had the idea of it, yeah, but I was fucking tiny. I would not have done well. Like, I'm happy to hold my head up and be like, I would have been shit. It wouldn't have been worth it. I got very, very lean, and it was competition season, and my coach at the time was like, oh, we can jump on like a men's physique stage, see how you do. And then I went to, I think it was a PCA show. PCA isn't tested from what I'm aware. And like the guys on the physique stage were like, they had like 20 kilos on me. And I just thought, oh, I just don't like the idea of it. It's just not for me. I do see why people like it. I've been to enough shows to kind of understand why people really like that as the goal. And it is really cool. The issue I will just always have with bodybuilding is just, I think I probably see more of the bad than the good. Yeah. And I think when you're not in it, it's very, very different from the outside.
When you are in it, when I was in prep, I got sucked in towards the end, and I was like, right, I can see how people get obsessed with this. However, as soon as I come back out of it again, then I was like, yeah, I can't believe some of the shit I was doing during prep. Like,
yeah, it's like a rose tinted glasses situation, and you just, I think I've had this conversation with other people who used to compete, and they've got like 20-year-old kids who like go out for family meals and they'll bring like chicken and rice and Tupperware. And
that's when it gets fucked.
And I'm like, I just couldn't imagine living like that. I couldn't imagine caring about something that much to do that. And like, I'm not saying that if you do that you're a bad person or that's a bad thing. I've got no issue with that, because like, do what the fuck you want. I don't give a shit. But I think it's the problem that I'll always have is like, if that's what you do, great. But you are then deciding to impose that on someone else. Oh, everyone else. Yeah, not even someone else. Most of your clients, really. Because like bodybuilders don't have much of a ability to think outside the box, from what I've seen. And that's the issue where I'm like, this is wrong. This is like fundamentally wrong. And like you probably see it more with the nutrition compared to what I do with the training.
Yeah, I think it's like they're almost like control for like every single ounce of food that goes into the mouth has to be like accounted for.
Yeah,
I can't understand that. Like, well, calorie tracking isn't even 100% accurate anyway.
Yeah,
even when you buy something, you scan the barcode.
20% discrepancy.
Yeah, like legally they're allowed a discrepancy.
Yeah.
So yeah, even that isn't. And then if like you go for a meal out, obviously it's going to be, you know, if you order something from Nando's, you put it into MyFitnessPal. It's not going to be the same as what comes on MyFitnessPal. But like,
I've worked at Nando's. I've seen them divvy up the portions. Yeah, I worked at Nando's for like 4 weeks where I was a coach. Yeah. I've seen them divvy up the portion of the rice and the chips. They just go, yeah, fuck, just put that on. I don't give a shit what's in it. Like they're not going to give a fucking shit. Yeah,
it's more the culture as well that I don't like.
Yeah, the culture is a big thing for me, and it's really difficult. It's kind of hard for me to say, because there are a lot of bodybuilders who I really get on with, and like I love chatting shit with them, and I fully respect like this is the way you do things. Fine, I've got no issue with that. But I think it's when it's pushed to like the masses and the people who have a physique goal, which is everyone in the world. There's not one single person who goes to the gym who goes, I don't want to look better, because that's fucking horseshit. But I think the problem is, like, because that is the upper echelon of that goal the bodybuilders have, it's because we want to look better. This is all the things we need to do to look better. And I think this is becoming a little bit more understood from like a social media aspect. Is like you probably don't need to do many bodybuilding things to have a decent physique.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is look at any athlete that does any resistance-based sport and go, actually, they're in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
They might not have like that like symmetry, that taper, that kind of like X-frame physique that we look for bodybuilders. They might not be able to pose or whatever it is in that kind of way and present their physique the way they look.
The average person doesn't even notice shit like that.
No, absolutely fucking not. Absolutely fucking not.
Like, when clients will send me just normal physique shots, the back double, they're like clenching the shit.
Like this.
I'm like, right, just open it up. Look how much better your back looks.
I literally had that with a client today who I've had for like probably 4 months. And like he's been like, oh, my back double looks insane. I'm like, you've literally just opened your shoulder blades. Like, I'm not saying that you've not done anything like correct. You've done everything really, really well. Because you've just done this one thing, which we've kind of been trying to ingrain for months now. And you've kind of gone, oh, actually, this looks kind of it's just clicked today, which is great. And I love stuff like that. And I love that even if you don't look like a bodybuilder, you're like, oh, my back double looks like an actual back double now. Like, cool. I'm all for that. It's just I think it's the extremes that are getting pushed onto the people who do not need that to be a case, and especially when like I joke about like the lifestyle coaching thing all the time when it's like bodybuilders who do lifestyle coaching for lifestyle clients. I'm like, cool, we get it. You train them the same as everyone else and you maybe push gear on them a little bit later than usual. That's literally all lifestyle coaching is. And I think that's just always where I draw the line. And it's that idea of like, here's this one relatively like gem pop, whatever you call it, individual. Let me now do everything I do with like my IFBB pro athletes with them. I might not give them as much volume. Like, wow, like that's such a big, like amazing coaching decision that you've made. That makes such a big difference. It's like, it's not, it's the same thing. And I'm sure you've seen it as like, you take a couple of clients off the same coach and you're like, I know what the program's going to look like. You know exactly what it's going to look like. It's going to be their plan or the other client's plan or some derivative of that. And I think with bodybuilding, that's just the problem as it is. Yeah.
It shows as well because I actually enjoy coaching people where it's a challenge and I have to like think outside the box.
Absolutely.
Because I don't want to just have a client. If I had every single client who was just like, yeah, I'm a bodybuilder, like a robot, follow the fucking plan to a T, that is boring.
Yeah.
Like if I comes to a check-in, what do I actually say? Well done, same again next week. Like, because that's what majority of bodybuilding coaches do.
I found that with
check-in for like 3 minutes long because that's all they do. They can smash through 20 check-ins in a couple of hours or whatever because that's all it is. Yeah, well done. See you next week.
I remember it was like looking at IPV phone. It was like 20 check-ins done this morning, and they took a picture of their like the loom thing. And I'm like, I can see the times is 45 seconds. And I'm just sat there like, it's fucking not coaching. Like it is coaching. It's
literally just accountability.
It's just accountability.
There's nothing else.
It's literally just
doesn't involve any skill or anything.
No, of course not. Yeah.
Because a lot of bodybuilders, their coaching is just them being so regimented on their own shit.
Yeah.
Posting every meal on the story, posting the training, motivational quote thrown in there every now and again. And their clients are looking at that thinking, that's what I want. That's the guy I want. Yeah. But
it's like, and like it works. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but there's just loads of like gaps in it. And like there's this one thing I found at the moment, like with taking on more clients, is I feel really bad when I give like a 3-minute check-in. Yeah. Or like when a client sends me loads of stuff and they're like, it's been a great week. And I'm like, fuck, what do I do?
You can always find something to talk about.
Absolutely, yeah. But like, and it's technically a compliment because like you've given them everything they need and they're getting on with it, which is great. So when you send check-ins and you're like, I'm bigger and leaner, I'm like, fuck, what do I do with them?
I didn't even know what to say. Yeah, another great week. I'm bigger than last week for some reason.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know what you're doing. And I'm like, yeah, it's working. But yeah, I think I think it's just that repeated cycle that bodybuilders go through. And it's just not outdated, but I think how would I describe it?
One-dimensional, isn't it?
One-dimensional is probably it. Yeah.
Just one-dimensional. Everything
and it's like
one-dimensional.
You see, like the Mandalorian, where they're all like, "This is the way," and I'm like, "You're all in the cult."
Is that Star Wars?
That's literally what it's like, and they're part of a cult that basically they got eradicated, and like they're all set within their beliefs of how the cult works, and like their phrase is, "This is the way," and it's just like, but it's not the way. There's like so many other things you can do. And I say this to a lot of like younger guys as well who maybe don't even follow bodybuilders, but just want to like better physique, better training, wherever it is. And I think it might have been Angus Bradley who said this, is like, if you put anyone in like a 4-day full body split, like get them training pretty hard with all the foundational movements that they need to do, all the exercises that they like, get them nailing 90% in their nutrition, the worst they will come out of it is probably like Brad Pitt from Fight Club.
Yeah.
Which, if you go to most guys, like full population, would you like to look like that?
Yeah.
Bear in mind, the mass population is heavily overweight and not in shape. Would you like to look like that? They'd be like, hell yeah. Like they wouldn't give a fuck about looking like C-Bum, but like something like that would be.
Yeah, it's like Tobey Maguire, isn't it?
That's exactly what
I remember
I'm talking about nowadays.
Spider-Man as a kid and thinking, I was actually watching the other night with my missus, 17 again.
Oh, Zac Efron, yeah.
Yeah, and he was just playing basketball with the top off. And I looked at it and I thought, I remember thinking when I was a kid, he's shredded.
He's shredded.
But he's just skinny.
He's skinny, yeah.
He's got abs and that's about it. He's just got abs.
It's fucking mad, isn't it? Yeah.
Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, he was
he
was probably the main reason why I got into the gym. Because the reason I got into the gym, released from Stoke at 16, major reason was injuries and too weak, got pushed off the ball. So I was like, right, I'm on my fucking...
I need weight.
I need to put weight on. And Cristiano Ronaldo was like, that's my goal for
Absolutely.
Now I look at him and just think, he's just shredded.
He's just shredded, yeah.
And a lot of the general population will look at him and that's their goal physique.
Yeah. It's actually fucking insane. And like, I think, and I say this to a lot of other coaches I know who've been coaching for like years, people genuinely, the average person does not understand like the level of like skill and strength, athleticism, like top athletes actually like it is fucking insane. And I still include bodybuilders in that. Like I've done like seminars or like treatments on like bodybuilders who are like, 110, 100 kilos and they're lean, and like you mobilize them and I'm like, your hamstring is like cement. It's fucking rocks. And like there's so much fucking muscle on your leg compared to like my trunk. And like I think people forget like how big and strong some people genuinely can get, or how athletic some people can get. And like the really sad truth is, like, if you've seen them on social media and they're doing really well in their sport, they're probably outliers, or they've been molded by that sport, which is not a bad thing, but it's just like you just can't. Not you can't compare, but it's just not worth trying to think of yourself in the same light unless you notice that you are able to compete at a decent standard yourself. Which is fine, but it's just, I think people, it's kind of like the way people look at like celebrity workouts. I'm like, they're really not important. Like they look great for the movies. They have like chefs. They like have gear and all this stuff. But I'm like, it's just not important. It's just like just not something you need to focus on.
There's a lot you realise. It's mad because you go through a transition when you're learning more of thinking that the tiniest detail matters.
Yeah,
you reach that middle point, and then it just swings the other way completely.
Yeah. It was like we were talking about a client I had where I was like, I've got them leaner in like 2 weeks in their photo shoot and like healthier, and you were like, what did you do? I was like, I just gave them more food. I was like, I just went, you're not eating enough. Like this needs to be better than what it was with your previous coach. And it was like, let's just change training a bit. Let's put better food in you. Let's focus on like a few qualities within the gym that you haven't focused on for a while. And it's like, by magic, they are now in a better condition. It's like, it's just because we've just focused on that kind of 90%. Whereas if you've been focusing on the 10% for 4 months, then no wonder you feel like shit, or you've not made as much progress as you think you do. But like from a coaching perspective, it always just comes back to that. And I think bodybuilding is a really good example where people think that the 10% is what makes the difference. And it can make a big difference, but people also forget that the bodybuilders are still doing the 90% because they are, as you said, very robotic, very meticulous. They're very methodical, which is why they do very, very well. And like
for them, the little things matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because, if say that the 10% means you being like 200 pounds on stage versus 207 pounds, like 7 pounds from a stage condition perspective is a big difference for how lean you're going to look. And like, depending on federation, category, whatever, like that is the difference between you placing and not placing sometimes, or first and third. So in that case, fuck yeah, it's important.
But like my fucking clients who competed the other week. If I'd got like 2-3 kilos more body fat off him, he would have gone from 4th to probably top 2.
Probably top 2, yeah. And you notice that because and that thing I do appreciate that within bodybuilding. It's like when you're on stage, like that's it. Like you can't hide behind anything. You've done the work and you've done a pretty good peak, or you haven't. Like that's it. And like there's obviously subjectivity within like what the judges do, and that's probably the issue I have more with bodybuilding from a competitive standpoint compared to like athleticism and sport. But like, there are still like standards you have to hold yourself to with bodybuilding. And that's why I don't slate it completely. But like, I do still classify it as like a little bit of a beauty pageant. But there's a little bit more effort that goes into it. And like, I know bodybuilders who compete who call it a beauty pageant. And they're fine with that. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
If you've got the self-awareness to realise, you're right,
fine.
You're literally
Absolutely fine. Yeah.
posing in literal sparkly blue trunks in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
It dawned on me when, at my first show, I was just walking through like the reception.
Yeah.
And there's just no, all the like people watching the show are just stood there normal, and I'm just walking through with nothing on
And as fuck as well. Yeah.
And then for the finals, I remember standing on a car park, fucking tanning myself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is nuts.
This is weird.
What am I doing? If you'd told me a couple of years ago that I'd be doing that shit, I'd be like, nah, no chance.
Well, I own it. That's why I don't mind if someone says, oh, you know, it's subjective, it's a beauty pageant, etc. Then yeah, fucking own it. I don't mind that.
I mean, that's the whole reason it is in the first place, was just like, I say I don't like bodybuilding, but like, I've never actually done bodybuilding, so how do I know?
I know what you mean.
So I was like, and if I'm going to be a coach at like to the top level, I will need to show that I've actually done it to the fucking top level and took it all the way there.
Absolutely.
Even for just lads who want to do a photo shoot or just want to get in ridiculous shape. If you've done it at an even higher level than they have, then you can fucking do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily want to become a prep coach.
No, I know what you mean.
Just coach body, because like I say, if I had every client who was just nailing it every week, I would absolutely get bored to some degree.
So bored.
Like, it's nice having the odd clients because, like, for example, with the stuff I've learned from you, I can then use them to trial it because they want to learn more and they want to do that some stuff. But some clients I've got who just want to crack on with the training. They don't want to do it.
I've got loads like that. Yeah, I've got loads like that. I always say, like, if you have like a decent coaching roster, you'll have like, say 25% who they need more attention. They're the ones who message you every 2 days, but like, oh, is this okay? And you're like, yeah, that's fine. Or yeah, we'll talk about this, etc. And like, you have to manage that back and forth. You've got 50% who are pretty good, might have a bit of a slip up every now and then, might need a bit more accountability, or like they travel a lot for work, wherever it is. You need to be a bit on it. And then the other 25% who literally just get on with it, and you never have to do any work with them, but you don't have to do anywhere near as much. And like, it's always going to be that. And the percentages will maybe shift a little bit depending on how you go through your coaching career. But if you have everyone like that last 25% where they just all crack on, you are sat there not doing much. And I get bored fucking easily. Like if I don't have something to do with my clients, something to work on, it just bores the shit at me.
Yeah, you do want a challenge.
Yeah, and you also, because if you do that with your clients, they'll actually get better results. Because even the ones I found who are like robotic, the amount of times where I'm like, yeah, crack on, I'm like, we could actually push this further. I'm like, do you want to get a little bit leaner? And they're like, actually, yeah, I do want to like really take this diet a bit further. And so I feel like with those type of clients, it's very easy to become a little bit complacent as a coach and just be like, yeah, they're fine, they're cracking on. Where you can actually have that conversation of let's see what we can do. Like if you're up for it, that is, then let's see it.
Yeah, that's definitely something which in the past year, 18 months, I'd say I've done. Like I would say my actual results over the past 18 months have just skyrocketed because I've done that. Like, right, let's push. Because I used to be quite soft with people.
Same.
I used to be like almost scared of saying it how it is to people. And once I actually started being a little bit more like, right, I'm the fucking coach.
Yeah.
Then people respect you more.
Yeah.
And you get better results as well at the end of the day.
No, that's the mistake I made a lot with like training, especially where I'm like, I have that kind of like injury mindset. I'm like, I don't want to hurt them. And I'm like, actually, human body can take quite a lot. And also, they're not doing like the bodybuilding splits they were doing with the other coach that was wrecking them. And there's still like a lot of logic behind it. If we add a bit more volume into it, it's not going to be the end of the world. Like, and if also, again, with injury, if something flares up a little bit, it takes me a second to figure out what's going on and go, right, change this, it'll be fine. Whereas, and I've seen this with a lot of bodybuilding coaches, they get an injury and they've still got it 7 months later. And all they've changed is like 1 or 2 sets.
Oh, just don't do the exercise.
Or don't do the exercise, yeah. The amount of competitive clients I've taken for injury consultations, and like their leg days are leg extension, leg press, leg curl, because their knees and hips are fucked. And I'm like, so your solution to injury is reduce exercise pool into its absolute basics and then hammer volume, and then you wonder why everything still hurts. And it's just that's from the training side of things, from a body perspective. That's where I just instantly draw the line. And that's like social media stuff, but that's what I'll always consistently point out. I'm like, this is completely not wrong, but just dumb. It's just it's completely ineffective.
It's like the thing with the pec deck, like what you mentioned before about if you can't feel your pecs working in a pec deck because you can't move your rib cage, you can't actually move your shoulders. A lot of people will just, right, we'll put you in a cuffed fly.
Yeah.
Or like what you see at the moment, the trend with the fucking putting the pad. Have you seen it?
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah. I've done that. I did that fucking 6 years ago. I did it 6 years ago. Yeah. So it's not. This is the thing. It's not new. It's just you're finding solutions. You're finding. I always use the concept you're finding an external solution for an internal problem. But now I just say you're just finding a solution that doesn't need to exist because you haven't looked at the first problem in the first place. And like I still get like I'll scroll through Instagram and I get the whole and it's like that first 3 seconds where they try to catch you out and it's like if you can't feel your chest, I've got the exercise for you. And I'm like, is it a cuffed cable fly? It's a cuffed cable fly. Is it first in the second? Yeah. Is it 2 seconds squeeze in the short? It's a 2 second. And I'm just like, oh, for fuck's sake. And then I'm like, right, who's your coach? Yep, I know your coach. Who's your coach by? Yep, who's there? And it's just like you work up the stream like, right, I know where this has come from. And it's just been filtered down throughout the industry. And then you'll get like 18-year-olds who will be coaches now who will give the exact same advice. And I sit there and I go, okay, I'm just going to breathe. Yeah, I'm just going to breathe and just ignore this. And then I'll do a post be like, if you say this, you're absolutely full of shit.
It is fucked, to be fair. Like how worse it's becoming.
It's so bad.
Like, every man and his dog wants to become a coach, like literally.
Yeah, it's one thing I find that's interesting now is like, and like I said this to like my business mentor when like a few people, like I had like four, five, 6 coaches like follow me at the same time. So I follow them all back. And then, you know, when you follow someone on Instagram, like pushes all their shit to you, which
brilliant. I want to see every post they posted for the last 6 months.
I don't give a fuck about that. But like it did it with all 5 of them. And like, I shit you not, I couldn't tell the difference between any of them. Apart from branding colours and maybe an accent, I couldn't tell the fucking difference between their content. And the thing I find, like most coaches, not all, obviously, they all sound the same. They all talk about the same thing. They all have the same niche. They all do the same content. And it's...
Don't even stand for anything.
It's literally just...
generic.
It's so generic.
Do you want to lose fat? Do you want to build muscle?
Yeah, and there's... and like, at the end of the day, like, your niche as a personal trainer, there's not much variety you can go for. It is going to be fat loss and muscle gain. It's always going to be...
Unless you're like, oh, I'm the DIY working man.
Something like that, yeah.
Manual labour coach.
Exactly, yeah. And I've seen people who like target like blue light workers.
Yeah,
I've seen people like
that works quite
and that works. And I've got no issue with that. But like at the end of the day, like, and I'll say even if you have those niches, your advice is probably going to be still relatively similar. There might just be like more practical application to like, right, this is how we work around a night shift or
it's like night shift. I've never done so. Like, when I get clients who are explaining, I can't wrap my head around it. I'm like, wait, so you went to sleep at what? Like, he's like, how do I track this? I might just track it on the day that you ate it.
Yeah, but even in that case, I'm just like, you just got to adapt and just like manage that 90%. Like, it always is going to come back down to that 90% of like how well can you manage that as an individual. And then like all the little things, that's what having the coach is for. But like, yeah, from a content perspective, it's just, I cannot differentiate between people at all. If the content is a little bit different and entertaining, then I can differentiate. Apart from that, the information, it's all the same. Which I think is just weird. I
don't know whether it's because people are just scared to actually say their own opinion. I think probably a lot of it does come down from that. A lot of it. People are because I was the same for years. Was scared. I was posting content more to impress other coaches.
Oh god, yeah.
Than I was to actually get clients.
Look at all my content from like probably 2018 to probably even 2 years ago. Like it was all like highly analytical, like biomechanic based, and I'm like, and everyone that liked it was coaches.
Yeah,
and like that's maybe paid off a little bit because a lot of my clients now are coaches, and some had like, I'm signing up someone in who said like, oh, I want to start in, I think it's December or January. Like they first commented on one of my like biomechanics videos in 2019, so they followed me for that long, and now they're signing up. So sometimes it does work. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but like the content you create it's to solve a problem because that's what coaching is. It's not to impress or like sound complex for the sake of it. Unless like you have a way you can kind of explain it in like a series or something like that. Yeah. It's just really, really weird that I just don't think, especially younger coaches, they just don't, there's not much variety, there's not much differentiation between what the norm is. And I think and then they wonder like, oh, why am I not getting clients or why? And I was saying this to my business mentor the other day, like there was I think over summer I had like 5 or 6 coaches I know who a little bit younger in the industry who were like, oh, I want to join the coaching hub. Like, how much do you offer for a bit of education? I'm like, yeah, these are the prices. This is how it sets up. And they're like, cool. Like, is a month or 2 good? Like, that's when I get bit more money. I've got a bit more financial freedom. Like, yeah, that's fine. And like all of them now, not coaches anymore.
Yeah.
3-month turnover.
It's mad, isn't it? How quick. I've seen it.
Yeah.
People say to me they want to become coaches, start and then just drop off as soon as it gets difficult.
Yeah.
As soon as a couple of clients drop off, or I mean, to be fair, like if you've got bills to pay,
that I get. Yeah, I'm never like.
and you need to go back to a 9 to 5 to pay for that.
Yeah.
But you could still do that and carry on with coaching.
I've got clients who are coaches who like they've moved across the country and they're like, I'm finding it hard to get like a 1-to-1 job, so I'm just going to I'm going to do like a 35-hour work week or whatever it is, and then do a bit online on the side. That's fine. I've got nothing wrong with that. I think pretty much every time, most coaching jobs I've had, I worked a part-time job alongside, like for most of my career, just because I'm like, it pays my rent, it pays the base bills. It means I have like 16 to 20 hours less a week to work on. It's a bit annoying, but it gives me the security to do that. So there's nothing wrong with that. I've got no issue with that. If you live with your parents or something like that, no issue, because it's fucking hard to build this. People don't just sign up 20 clients straight off the bat. The average coach, I would say, probably has 5 to 10 clients, and then
really,
I genuinely reckon the average.
You work with more coaches than I do.
I genuinely reckon the average coach, and like I know this from just like talking to other people who are business mentors, work with other coaches. I would say most coaches have at the most 15 clients, and then you have the ones who like do it actually professionally, where they're always they're absolutely on it. Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with like everyone's got. I've got the periods where I had like 3 clients, and they were just 3 long-term clients I had for a very long time. I did other work on the side. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just you just have to keep fucking doing it. That's always what it is.
It's just consistency.
Which is so shit to say and hear, but it is legitimately what it is.
But it's consistency, but actually getting better
and refining that, isn't it? Yeah.
A lot of people are consistent, but consistently shit.
Yes. Yeah.
And they don't get any better.
Yeah.
Like the content doesn't improve. They don't invest in like a camera or learn how to edit.
Anything like
that's
that.
all. Yeah. That's only just the marketing side of things as well. That's not actually learning more and becoming a better coach as well. Because, for example, like every single client I get, if I get a client leave, I will think to myself, is there something I've done wrong? Is there something I could have done better?
Actually.
Like, why is this client left? There's a reason this client's left.
Yeah.
If it is purely financial and there's nothing I could have done, which now and again does happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then I can accept that. But then if a client leaves and I think to myself, probably should have done this, probably should have changed that.
Absolutely.
And you just become better over time, essentially.
I think you become better at noticing when your clients are having those kind of like struggles and they're thinking like, maybe is this for me? And then you can actually be a coach and just say, everything good? Do you want to have a bit of a rethink? Like, should we jump on a call? Like I had this conversation, and this is just a bit of a statement. This is why I've spent so much time doing like coaching education as part of my business now, because I'm like, if you're just good at what you do, people will very rarely leave. Like, and they will want to find ways to stay with you because they know what the value is. If you're very good at problem solving, but if all you do is just like macros, training program,
people ain't gonna pay a lot of money for that.
You can get apps for that nowadays.
Especially if you fucking charge like £250 a month for that.
Exactly. Yeah. If you're what's it called? High ticket. High ticket. Yeah. If you're high ticket, you're the first thing to go. You will be the first. Second, there's any financial issues, you're the first thing to go. Absolutely.
I think majority of the time you are going to be anyway, even if you are ridiculously good.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a good point.
Especially now, I've realised like I've had a couple of clients last couple of weeks who've left, and I've even had a call with them, and they've explained like I fucking love the coaching.
I just cannot.
They've got Christmas coming up, kids, mortgage, like people's mortgage prices going through the roof.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So for the coaches who are charging like £250 a month and you ain't delivering the service for that, you're not going to last very long.
Yeah, and it's like I remember people talk about that like our coaching is a luxury. I'm like, it is, especially if you are charging ridiculous amounts. Like, don't act like it's not a luxury. Like, we're not exactly charging people on the lower end of the earning bracket here, exactly, are you? No. Unless you're doing it for like £10 a month, and in that case, you're not fucking. Your business is going to be absolutely horrible.
Yeah, the average person these days brings in probably what's the average salary? About 24, 25k.
It's close to like 27, 28. I think it depends.
Is that including London?
I think if you include London, it's closer to 30. But
most people probably bring in about 2k a month.
Yeah, let's say that.
So realistically, like if you're charging $250 a month,
you're over 10%, 12.5%. Yeah, that's a lot.
Someone's rent or mortgage plus your coaching is 50% of their salary gone.
Easily. Yeah.
That's without paying for actual food,
kids,
socialising,
anything else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think and this is I'll always segue back into this, especially when it comes to coaching prices, is like the thing I've tried to consistently do, especially this year, is point out that like most coaches are not worth the money. They shouldn't be charging them much because they don't actually know. They're not as good as everyone thinks they are. It's that kind of like perceived quality of results. And like you and I have talked about this with like coaches who they only give a shit about earning cash because they'll charge like £250 a month, and like they'll churn out good transformations. There's nothing wrong with churning out great transformations. I've got no issue with that. But like for me, it's never been worth that just to get someone shredded, because they'll leave after the transformation. They're not going to stay for any major reason unless you want to compete them, prep them, or wherever it is. It's just, you have to kind of think of it. And like a lot of the reason why I do a lot of coaching education now is because I'm trying to get people to think like long term. What is the fucking goal? It's great when you're 20 and 30 and you're bringing in 4 or 5K a month, but it's like, do you really want to be like, like posting churning through clients and like posting topless pictures every other fucking day, like when you're 40? It's just not gonna work.
It's mad, actually. I saw, was it on a podcast or was it a clip? I saw something someone said the other day, like, do you see any 40, 50-year-old online coaches?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I also thought to myself, you're saying that to people and you've got people thinking, oh, no, you don't. But online coaching hasn't been around long enough to be 40, 50-year-old.
We can't make those assumptions right now. Like, it's just not possible.
It will be interesting to see, though, when it reaches in 10 years' time, like, how many coaches at that age are sticking around.
Yeah.
I mean, or whether they've just pivoted and
I think
become business mentors.
I was just about to say, that's and like me and like my mates always say this, is like it's like much easier to sell to desperate coaches trying to make money than it is to pull on your own clients. And like this is the thing, like there are so many, and like you and I've talked about like the dodgy business mentors, like all the names we've talked about, I've seen them be like, I've helped my client grow to like a 7-figure business, and I'm like, why have you not done this yourself with coaching? If you can apparently do that for someone who knows less, that why are you not doing it yourself?
Make £1 million, but that's not enough.
I was just like, fuck off. And then like there's a few where they are obviously running a successful like mentoring business, and then I'll get their emails, but like, hey, I'm doing a 9-stage transformation plan, and I'm like, my God, you must be so low on cash. Like it's literally. And then they'll be doing those exact posts on Instagram, be like,
I didn't even use the question because I had a business mentor before the one I'm with currently. And I remember when I got on a call with Mark. He was like, well, have you ever seen this guy's business before? Like, have you got any proof that this guy did a successful business? And I thought about it, I was like, no, I haven't.
No, I don't.
And I looked at my old business mentors, went back on his page. He still does mentoring. He also coaches alongside it now.
Of course.
So clearly he doesn't his business mentoring isn't doing well enough to just do that full time. So it's not a great look.
No, it's really fucking not. But it's really common. Yeah.
Must be tough to run as well. Imagine running a mentoring business alongside it and posting on both pages.
Be fucking arsed.
Could not be fucking arsed with that.
I'd rather just be good at one thing and be like, I'm just going to continue doing this. But yeah, the long-term thing for coaching, I think it'd be very interesting to see like where that kind of, I think a lot of people will stop being coaches. And I also think that's why, and to segue back into, I think my bodybuilding is actually, if you're a really good bodybuilder, there's always going to be demand for that.
Sure.
So like, even if you're like a 40, 50-year-old bodybuilding online coach.
Masters.
Absolutely. It's masters, I like some of the younger guys will want an older coach. They want someone who's younger.
Yeah,
so like I actually don't think there's anything wrong with that, which is fair enough. And like there's loads of ways that people bring on teams, they step away from the business, they do all that shit, which is fair enough. But I think online coaching, that was 90% the reason I wanted to go into physio, because I was like, I kind of want something that's going to last, so that's going to be like consistently relevant, that I can still add into coaching and people.
People always going to have injuries.
Absolutely. And like weirdly, it's just the name holds a lot of value, even though I don't hold much respect for a lot of physios. After seeing what we get taught,
you know what's crazy actually. Yeah. My mum's a physio.
Is she?
Respiratory physio.
Oh, really?
It's with kids with cystic fibrosis.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah.
In the hospital. But obviously she's done her physio.
Absolutely, yeah.
And all my life I've looked up to her like, oh, she knows so much about the body and shit. Like, and then the other day I went and saw her, and she was like, yeah, I've got this dodgy shoulder. Like, it just clicks and grinds. I was like, right, let me. I was like, I'm diagnosed. I was like, you're meant to be the physio. And I got it. I was like, are you stiff? She was like, oh, yeah, a little bit. I was like, right, lie on the floor.
Did you do something?
She couldn't even get her arm to touch the floor on the other side. I was like, that's the exact reason why your shoulder can't move. And I was trying to explain it, but she still had this like thing where she thought she knew more than me, so she wouldn't properly listen. I was like, listen, I know more.
Physios, I do want to get. There are a couple of physios who train that I want to get on like a podcast and talk about. And like it's like Paul Standall did a post that he went to a seminar with a bunch of physios and he knew like more anatomy than them. And I did point out, I was like, the standard of education isn't great. And also, it's not that it's. I don't think it's not great. It's just it's very broad spectrum. Like when you think physio, you don't think respiratory.
It's like GP and
yeah, you don't think neurology. You don't think acute medicine or ICU when you think physio. You think sports team. And the fact is, like, I mean, for within my degree at least, the education for exercise was, I think it was a 3-week module, 2-week module, something like that, and you learn less than you do in a PT qualification. Yeah. So, like, take that. I mean,
you got a PT qualification.
Yeah.
Because I haven't.
Yeah, I know you haven't. Yeah.
I'm a fraud.
You don't learn anything there either.
But I've also got a nutrition degree.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got a nutrition degree. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so like physio is a really interesting one, and like I had the very long talk with one of my mates who's a coach, and he's got a very good knowledge like biomechanics, like injury, and like he'll always like say to me, "I've got this client with this injury," and we'll kind of like have a back and forth. And like he'll obviously get his clients to go to physios because he's based in London. It's a little bit more like people tend to go to physios more like the affluent areas. And like, the diagnoses are just like they're so bad, they're just fucking made up on the spot.
Now that I know what I know. Thinking about the physios that I went to and my shoulder with,
bad, isn't it?
They don't have a clue what they're doing.
Really fucking bad. It's really bad.
They charge like £50 an hour. Genuinely, just rub you down, say go away, do this banded exercise, and that's it. That's what all.
Why do you think I wanted to become one?
So bad. Or they'll give you acupuncture.
Yeah.
And then I also had shockwave therapy.
Yeah, shockwave therapy is a big one.
Helped with the inflammation. So I used to get pinching, couldn't even lift my arm in front. It would help with that, but like for 2 days, and then it'd go back to normal.
Yeah, it's rehab modalities are very interesting. There's a lot of debate on them, and like we can go down the fucking rabbit hole, like what's useful research and all this shit. But like the thing I'll just always segue back into is like physiotherapy. It's moving towards a point where like they are very much like geared around exercise and like moving well, and like there is no bad posture and all this stuff. But it's almost like you have kind of like this like really zoomed in lens of like, if we don't fix this one thing with your big toe, nothing's going to work. And then we have this like, we just need to keep you moving. And like both could be right, but no one ever wants to meet in the middle, I find. Yeah. And I find with physios, they're like, yeah, just keep moving more, like change your posture a lot. And I'm like, cool. That's great, but most people aren't going to know what the fuck to do with that information. Yeah. And they need that kind of middle guidance of like, right, we need you to be, it's kind of like when with you and your shoulder, I was like, right, cool, I get it, you bodybuild. We need to do this, this, and this, otherwise the bodybuilding is not going to be very, very efficient. And it's then applying that to, right, you want to run faster, you want to be able to change direction while playing football. It's building upon that, whereas I think the concept of that lens is just people zoom in a little bit too much, or they zoom out too much, and they don't really like take anything with any kind of specificity. And physios are a great example of that. And again, because you don't learn much in your degree, where do you get your education from? Same where all PTs do. They just go on social media and they just learn shit, or they go to courses, and some courses are great, some courses aren't great. And it's just the same shit.
And everything's just sound bites as well.
Everything is sound bites. Yeah.
Sound bites, and everyone's because everyone's getting told you need a niche. You need to tie yourself.
Yeah, the niche thing's really interesting. Yeah. Do you have a niche? Would you say lads who want to get?
I always say my niche is me, my personality, the things that I like.
I like that.
So like, Mike said to me, like, keep talking about the fashion stuff, the stuff that you're interested in outside of that. Yeah. So like, for example, I had a client the other day who obviously I rant on about. I like bodybuilding, but hate fucking bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And I had a client the other day who was like, his missus is a bodybuilder, she's going to compete.
Okay.
And he said to me the other week, he was like, I think I might want to compete. I was like, right, okay, have a think about it.
Yeah.
And like, it's not going to be for a while anyway. And then he come to me the other day to check and he was like, yeah, I fucking hate bodybuilders. I do not want to compete. And I was like, yeah, I don't blame you at all, to be honest, mate. Like, I do not blame you.
Yeah.
And then we're having a conversation. He was like, yeah, they're just so intense. Like, if you've never been in a bodybuilding gym, and I think you probably don't notice it if you only go in there once. Mm-hmm. But when you go in every day and you see the same people day in, day out, you realise how them so fucking, the mood swings are nuts. Like, one day someone will speak to you absolutely fine. Mm-hmm. The next day, completely blank you. And I've only ever noticed it with bodybuilders.
It's like you and I have talked about that, like the mutual bodybuilding gyms we've been at, and it's just it's fucking. And like I remember speaking to you, and I was like, I guarantee you'll hate being in a bodybuilding gym. And you went, "No, it'll be great."
Oh, I love it. Yeah, one time film content. Oh my god, I love it here. such good kit. The lighting's great. And 2 weeks in, going every day, I fucking hate it.
I'll never forget that when you moved here and you went, yeah, I really want to like use it for YouTube filming. And then I think you were like training there for like 7 or 8 months. And I went, how many training posts have you done? And you went,
no.
2. I have done 2 training posts. And I'm like, great, awesome, that fucking brilliant. And now you train at like a proper spit and sawdust bodybuilding gym. You just go in, train, it's fun. Yeah.
There's literally barely anyone in there now.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it? That's what I love shit.
There's
like
no bodybuilders.
there's no real bodybuilders there. Yeah, yeah.
A powerlifter in there.
Yeah.
Huge guy. He had the actual
Like the actual squat suit.
Got the
singlet.
singlet.
Yeah,
that's
singlet,
it.
squat suit.
Yeah, he had that on, just walking around. I was
Fair enough.
fair, yeah.
Composition standard. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this is. I think it is like you're either in or you're not. That's the way bodybuilding works. You can still do the training. There's nothing wrong with that. That's like I still classify what I do as bodybuilding. But when it comes to like the mantra and like the ideology and the baggy clothes, it's just like no, the baggy clothes couldn't do it.
Yeah, talk about that.
I just get warm all the fucking time.
I don't understand how you're wearing an oversized top at the gym.
I get it if you
Thick cotton.
I get it if you're like shredded to the bone. Because like you just no body fat, and you want to hide, and you.
Though, when I was in prep, I wanted to wear tighter clothes because I was shredded.
Yeah,
like you could see my delts, so I can't look through the top. You could see my chest.
Because
you see my fucking abs, like and contracting them. I'm not going to hide that with an oversized top because then I just look even skinnier.
Yeah, it is that kind of like, was it Mike O'Hearn who was like, I always wear baggy clothes because I want people to see the finished product or some shit like that.
Shut the fuck
and I'm
up,
like,
man.
oh fuck off, mate.
You're not Dorian Yates.
Yes, literally. Yeah, if you're Dorian Yates, you can do that. That's fine. I don't like if Seaborn wants to wear baggy clothes and sweat his tits off,
Go for it.
He can do it. He wins the Olympia. I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to argue with him. But like, yeah, it's like 17-year-old Charlie who's just like 60 kilos soaking wet, and I'm like, nah, you don't need to wear the XL JP top. You don't need it, mate.
They all do just like copy off each other as well, don't they?
Yeah, I've had this conversation with my business mentor where there's a couple of his clients where I'm like, do they just copy everything the coach does? And he's like, yes, they do. Yes.
Like, I'm convinced Perform Way is not that good. I have these opinions because I've done it.
Yeah.
Like I've tried almost every flavour of Perform. Maybe not the new ones because I haven't tried it in years, but like a lot of the basic Perform flavours I've tried.
Yeah.
1, it bloats the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
2, it doesn't taste like as good as people make out.
Yeah.
The reason I tried it was because the people who were pushing it were like, oh my God, this is like the next best thing.
I'm convinced bodybuilders don't have a palate because the amount of times where I'll see them, not even on prep, in a gaining phase, and we'll do like is it the sludge on the creamer?
Oh, creamer, right.
It just looks like fucking like
whey paste.
Oh, but it looks like fucking diarrhea.
Never even tried.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, this tastes like cake, and I'm like, no, it doesn't. Like, it fucking doesn't, mate. It absolutely fucking doesn't. And I'm like, if you
I didn't take cake in 3 years.
Like, if you actually think that tastes like cake, please get yourself checked for an eating disorder. Like, it's just fucking mad. And then obviously their clients will get it because that's on their meal plan.
Yeah. A lot of them do. I definitely think a lot of bodybuilders do have eating disorders.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
But don't realise or are in denial about it.
No. Yeah. It's... The weird thing for me is like that, and what really segued that for me was being in a gaining phase, and they're just like, "Oh, I'm looking for somewhere to go for an off-plan meal." I'm like,
I fucking hate that word.
I'm like, it's funny because I have that on my check-in sheet because it's like copied and pasted. Yeah, you do like and I literally say, when I say off-plan, I just mean, did you have a meal out that you couldn't track?
Yeah.
That way you just don't track it. And that's exactly. I say that to everybody. Like, it's not an off-plan meal. Just tell me, oh, like if like you 1,000 calories under, but you had a pizza. I'm like, all right, cool, fine. And that's how much I'll give a shit about it. Yeah. All right, cool, thumbs up.
This week's off-plan.
Yeah. Off-plan meal when you're gaining phase. I'm like, no, it's called food.
Yeah.
And again, like, I say this to you with like all my checking. I say this to every client. It's like you'd be quite surprised how much like one little decision like that makes no fucking difference. Literally, it makes no difference.
It only comes from experience. That all this stuff I've realised myself. It's not influenced by. You just come to the realisation that you don't have to worry or panic about these
really doesn't matter.
Decisions.
Yeah, it really does.
Literally, I've gone through phases where I've had like 2 or 3 what bodybuilders would consider an off-plan meal.
Yeah.
It makes no fucking difference. Really. You zoom out, You look at your body weight on a chart. Yeah, you might get a little drop or a little increase.
Like this.
It doesn't change the fucking trend.
I've literally had clients do that where they'll have like a pizza and they'll go, oh, my body weight went up by 0.2 kilos. I'm like, it's 200 grams.
Literally.
Fucking nothing,
You could
mate.
have just drank 200 mils of
Literally,
water.
it wouldn't make a fucking difference. Like, do you look better this morning? Yeah, I look really full and lean. Go train then and get a sick pump.
That's one of the main things I have to like talk about in check-ins is like people will say to me, I'm not losing any weight, or I'll get messages midweek. Morgan, I'm not losing any weight. Right, I'll pull up the rap. Yeah, your average is down by like nearly a kilo this week.
Yeah,
They just had like a drop. One day where the weight creeps up by half a kilo. Oh shit, I'm not losing weight. Like,
it's such, like, from a percentage perspective, it's such a tiny amount as well. That's what I think is, and it's like, I think I've said this to you I think you and like a couple of coaches I've got who have a similar niche and style to you, where like, I look at their food and I'm like, yeah, you're fine. Like, it's relatively relaxed, very high in protein, very good quality, and I'm like, oh, what a shocker! You look better this week. What a shocker! You look leaner. Have you been PBing? Oh, what a coincidence! And I'm like, it's almost like it's not that important.
because realistically, you could simplify it as if you train fucking hard when you're in the gym, you could literally make progress or go through a bulk without even necessarily tracking your calories. You could just intuitively eat. If you've been doing it for long enough, I could probably intuitively eat for a long time now and only have my body weight to go off and then be able to like guide myself through a bulk without tracking anything realistically.
Yeah, it's not. It's just I think the big word used there is experience. It's just like you have to do it a lot. I also think you have to have maybe one period where you are meticulous with it, and actually I know what is and isn't relevant because I have been meticulous. Like most coaches who are good at what they do and who are very good at teaching people to be a bit more relaxed with nutrition have actually been very meticulous at one point because they're like, oh, actually, this isn't that important.
Because I realised it during prep last year.
Yeah.
Because then you can literally, I can look at most foods now and guess how much there's there.
Yeah.
How many calories there is.
Yeah.
So
like
now
around here. Yeah.
Like I can just go through the day, and even if I'm not necessarily tracking everything, I will like in my head sort of like count the calories up.
Yeah.
Just by looking at stuff, guessing how much. Yeah. And then surprise, surprise, I wake up tomorrow and I'm either slightly heavy or slightly less, which would happen anyway. So you know that you're pretty much bang on with it anyway.
Literally, my entire like nutrition tracking protocol is just like, am I hitting a protein target? I'm pretty sure I'm going to hit a calorie target. I like to eat. Like I'm not. There's not going to be an issue with that. And then if it's dieting, it's like, do I know what a rough calorie cap is going to be for me? Do I know what to not exceed? Can I make sure I adhere to that? Yes, done.
Even with protein, like if your protein intake like drops, I mean, mine's what, 210 now?
Yeah, you're about 210.
I mean, there was a day last week where it was 165 or 170.
Like that, yeah.
And some people would freak out at that and be like, oh, 40, 50 grams under your protein.
Yeah.
But even the recommendations for protein intake is a range.
Yeah.
From 1.6 to 2.2. So you can go as low as 1.6 gram per kilo, and it's literally been shown that you will still maintain or build just as much muscle.
Again, it just comes back to that. It's not as important as have you seen Pirates of the Caribbean?
This is Star Wars, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay, have you seen it? Have you not seen it?
No.
Right. You are watching that series. But there's in it, there's like a pirate code. And it's they like consistently reference the pirate code. And at the end of it, he's like, there's the concept like if a man gets left behind, you leave him behind. And at the end, they go against the code and they save him. And he says, what are the code? And he goes, we figure they're more like guidelines. And that's literally how I just look up. I'm like, yeah, let's do something different. Yeah. I'm like, let's just fuck around with this. And like every time someone goes, oh, what about this though? I go, it'll be fine. Like,
but yeah, you do have to go through that meticulous period to then to be able to pull back. Because if you try and just freestyle your way through and you've never been meticulous with everything, you don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
When it comes to like body weight, nutrition, training, all that sort of stuff.
I also find that like when clients come to you, they've come to you because they're not even doing that. It's like even when you give them that kind of 90% of like, yeah, I just want you to like smash protein, like hit your calories, train really hard. And they're like, wow, everything's changing. And I'm like, you've not done anything special. I'm like, no, you've just not been doing that, like that kind of like minimum requirement for like a decent result. And now we're doing that. And then when it means we do go for that extra 10%, you're really going to notice changes. And it's just about building that up. And like for me, time frame's a big thing. It's like I can tell which clients are going to do really, really well because they're the ones who are saying, I'm really looking forward to the next 9 to 12 months. And they're like, they have that in their head, like we're going to just plug at this. I'm really happy with what we're doing. We're just going to plug at this, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. We're going to build that up for the next like 40, 50, 60 weeks, as opposed to the ones who are like, yeah, I just want to get this kind of done by Christmas. And then it's like, it's 6 weeks.
Yeah.
6 weeks is fuck all.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. I had 2 clients who signed up and then said, I just want to do 4 weeks. And I was like,
right.
What do you want
think
to
you're going to
achieve in
get out?
4 weeks?
Yeah.
You can't really.
That's what
even if you like want to pull off a little bit of body fat, you can do that, but you ain't really going to learn a huge deal.
No.
You learn the basics, but like going through 8, 12, 16 weeks, you're going to learn way more.
Yeah.
So I'm still recording.
I think that's gone. That's fine. That one's still going.
We're on one angle now.
We're fine. We're fine. We need to get better at technology. I need to get better at that.
How long have we actually been talking for now?
Good amount of time, actually.
11:30.
11:30. That's all right. I'll take that. Got about 5 check-ins that have just come through now. It's going to be a fun day. But yeah, it's just a really, really weird thing where I think people have this like overarching idea that things have happened a lot quicker than they think they are. And I think the second you get in your head, this is like years and years and years built upon each other of doing it, not meticulously, but repetitively. That is what gets the goal.
Yeah.
It's not that very short term. And I think that comes from a lot of like marketed like 90-day, and like some of them are great. Like you run like an 8-week one, and I imagine, and it's very affordable. I imagine people get a lot more in that 8 weeks than they do from most coaches. But also, I imagine you say this is 8 weeks. This is a fraction of what you can actually do when it comes to having a coaching process. And then this is like looking at the concept like we need to build this over months and months and years. So when you signed up, you were like, yeah, I'm thinking 2026. I'm like, good time frame. 2 years, a pretty good time frame to have a think about. If you kind of went, yeah, like February next year, I'm like, no, absolutely fucking
You've
not.
been a bulk for what, 4 months?
4 months, yeah.
You're expecting to change your physique.
Imagine how shit that would be.
Literally, yeah. Yeah, because I'm not stepping on stage or even... Because I don't even know whether I'm going to do it again.
Oh, yeah.
What my life actually even looks like then. Because it can change so fast. I mean, I don't even know what I'm doing
Absolutely.
in fucking March.
Exactly, yeah.
I don't know where I'm going to be living. So like then, I don't know where I'll be.
Yeah.
Or whether I will step on stage, but I at least know I want to fucking improve my physique.
Yeah.
That takes time.
That's all you need to do, yeah.
Especially when you're natty anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's this, not pressure, maybe pressure, I suppose, but everyone, because obviously it's so easy to see what everyone else is doing. And you kind of like, well, they've done this in this time, or like they're doing this every day. And it's just like, yeah, but it's never applicable to you. It's genuinely never applicable to you.
Yeah, there's so many different variables, genetics, life. Like I've got a client who's like 40, family man, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he said to me the other day, he was like, I'm annoyed at myself because I can't just hit everything optimally.
Yeah.
And I was like, mate, you're a family man who just wants to be in good nick.
Yeah, that's
But you're not a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And he was like, you've hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Literally. I was like, if 10 years time I've got like family and kids, I look like this, I'm happy.
Yeah,
like I'm not going to give a shit about anything else because that's like you have other priorities. When you're 20 and you want to be like stacked and strong as fuck, deadlifting 5 plates, great, fine. You have no other responsibilities. No one cares. But it's just it's always going to change as you go down the line. And I think
you don't realise how much of a factor stress is either.
yeah, you and I have talked about this so much with just like everything just being tanked when you're like hyper stressed.
Big difference.
It's fucking mad.
Ability to build muscle, your performance in the gym,
sleep, cognition,
everything.
It fucks, yeah.
Stress. I think most people don't realise that like majority of us these days, especially with like social media, phones and stuff, and how much time we spend on them, are just walking around in a chronically stressed state all the time,
12 weeks,
constantly. Like, and because I've noticed the difference. I remember even just 2 years ago, 2022, you were didn't have many clients, but also at the same time didn't have many responsibilities at all. I'd just left uni.
Yeah.
I remember going to the gym, picking weights up, and thinking, this is heavier than I've ever lifted before. But I know for a fact I can fucking move it.
Yeah,
like you've just got that like drive within you, which nowadays. I don't have. I'm like, yeah, I can't move this. This ain't moving. But it's just not happening.
Yeah, that could be a fucking topic for the whole podcast of this, right? But yeah, like I think getting out of your own head is like one of the biggest determinants for like doing very, very well in anything, not just the gym. But I think a lot of people who like I've had clients leave who are like, oh, I'm really stressed, I've got too much on, and I'm like, yeah, but like if you're still able to train and hit your food, so like, is it that you're too stressed and you have too much on, or you think that being stressed and having too much on means you can't do as much as you think you can do, and you've actually just got a really unrealistic expectation of what you can do now?
Everyone wants the perfect situation, don't they? Where they can just 100% focus on exactly what they want. And people aren't very good at like regulating their own emotions either.
Yeah, it's like I've had people message people like, "Oh, how are you managing placement uni coaching?" And I'm like, "I'm not. I'm just doing it. Like, I'm genuinely not. I'm not managing it. Like, I'm chronically stressed, but I'm just fucking doing it. And then when I have time off, I just take the time off. And like in my case, like I know it's finite. It is gonna end. So I'm like, it's gonna end. It's fine. But then when it's like, if you have like, again, like we use like kids and family, it's like, well, this is not finite. Hopefully. So you need to have your shit together. Like the amount I've got 2 clients now who they're having kids next year. And like they've like relatively unfit, relatively like a bit all over the place with their business, and they're like, "Well, I actually want coaching now because I don't want to be like this when I have my kid." And I'm like, "Well, that is then the priority." And now we've got a little bit more, a little bit less responsibility. Sorry, and you've got a bit more time to do that. But like, you also have to appreciate that they know the second they have that kid, everything's going to change. So it's going to be 10 times harder to get in shape, 10 times harder to have a good handle on their coaching business. So you need it now. So it's having that kind of extreme self-awareness of what is required of you, but also what is actually like doable right now. And I think a lot of people just don't have that. I think a lot of people live in like this kind of like bubble, or this kind of a little bit of like a dreamland of what they think is possible. And then that's why having a coach is good, because the amount of times I've said to people like, it's not going to happen. Like, and I think you said this about like pulling clients out of comps because you're like, you're not going to be ready for the comp. It's fine though. There's nothing wrong with that. We just need to be realistic, and there's nothing wrong with doing shit like that.
I think genetics as well. Like for some people, it's
unfair.
They literally say, "I want to look like this person." I'm like, I'm never going to look. Because I remember when I was younger, Mark Thurston was like my dream physique.
Of course.
Even now, especially because naturally my chest has always been like the most prominent body part. So I was like, I can look like him. I've been training for 9 years and I still don't fucking look like him. If it's ever going to happen, it would have happened by now.
Absolutely.
Because you look back at what he looked like when he was like 21, 22, and he looked absolutely ridiculous.
Fucking insane.
I mean, 10 years old, the guy had like a 6-pack.
It's fucking mad, isn't it?
Do you know James Reardwell?
Yeah.
Like you look at him when he was a kid. Ridiculous. Like
it comes back to what I was saying before about like people don't realize how like freakish some people actually fucking are.
Nuts.
And then it's when you see those like teenage photos, you're like, oh my god, you look like you're 30. Like you have the physique of like someone who's been training for 10 years and you're 15. Like what the fuck?
Yeah, I remember when I was at Stoke, where there was a guy who signed for us, and I think I must have been like 12 or 13 at the time. Yeah. And I, at that time, had no body hair, had not even hit puberty. Like, there's nothing going on at all. This guy, full body hair, had stubble, his quads were fucking huge everywhere. He looked like he was he looked like a bodybuilder at like 12, 13. It's like, mad. Mate, how the fuck do you look like? Some people, he doesn't even lift weights, go to the gym, anything like that.
Some people are just built for that. That is just like, that's their baseline. And I think people forget, like you on gear could be someone's baseline. Genuinely, like that's how fucking mad it is. And that's why I just say to people, like, don't worry about it. Just sort your own shit out first. Then you can maybe worry about it. Like, okay, if you want to compete in something, then you might need to worry about it a bit, because then it's like they're gonna wipe the floor with you, depending on what sport it is.
But you have to be okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what being an athlete is. Like, I think people. If you want to compete, you have to be very, very accepting of the fact you're probably going to lose.
Yeah, you've got people who've trained for years, who, like, for example, in the 100-meter sprint. Yeah. And then you're lining up against Usain Bolt. The guy doesn't even need to try and just absolutely spanks you.
I think people just forget, like, not everyone is like Matt Fraser, where they can do one discipline, jump into something like CrossFit and come like second and be like, ooh, that wasn't too bad. Yeah. Like, it's just, that doesn't happen for many people. Like,
it's levels as well. There are levels, like, because I remember in school, I was the kid who was always athletic as fuck. Like, cross country would win, 100-meter sprint would win, like every sporting event would win. Yeah. And then I would go to like what Northwood is, like the athletic track in Stoke, where all the schools come together or whatever, compete against each other, and come up against other kids who were like me, but in the other school,
Yeah.
but they're me on another fucking level.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit, I thought I was the shit.
Yeah, and you come back
I'm not.
sixth and you're like, what the fuck was that?
Like, there is literally levels to it, to everything.
Yeah, I had that. Like, I had a client who was a regional judo competitor, and he'd come like third or something like that, which is pretty good. But like, he would obviously like dominate in his gym, and then he'd be like, "Yeah, I got chucked around like a fucking rag doll," and I'm like, "It's like, gotta get better then, I guess."
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, and like, I think people need to be humbled a little bit every now and then and just realize,
Good.
yeah, it's good. Yeah, I think that shit's fun. Like, it's fucking great getting the shit kicked out of you, or like seeing that you're not as good as you think you are. But like, I think people have this. They always kind of not put themselves down first, but they think that that's the thing they need to be worrying about. I was like, no, the thing you need to be worrying about first is your own damn training, your own damn nutrition. And then if it comes to the point where you need to compete against someone, or if you want to compare yourself against someone, then go through it then. Yeah. Don't start off that way.
It's literally pointless even comparing yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen other bodybuilders talk about how before they were stepping on stage, they were like looking up the other bodybuilders.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
I was not even
Not.
I did not care what anyone. It wasn't until I was literally about to step on stage that I even thought about the fact that I was competing.
There's other people here. Yeah, there's other people here.
I was in the mindset if I just want to get as shredded as I fucking can, and then whatever happens on the day happens. Because I remember writing in my journal like my goals for that year, and I was just top 3 on the bodybuilding show. If I place top 3, I'm happy. Yeah. And then stood there before I was about to step on stage. I remember looking to the side and thinking, I've got a good chance here. I'm actually against other people, and
Top 3 with more than 3 people in the class as well.
Oh, I come third.
I love that. Like
3.
3 people, like, okay. But yeah, like, just focus on your own shit. That is also what having a coach is quite nice, because if someone that says to you, this is what you need to do. Fuck everyone else. I don't care what everyone else is doing. We can use other people as a reference. Yeah. Like, I've used you as a reference for like the style of training and the injury thing, because I'm like, you're a good example, but I'm like, you shouldn't give a shit about what he's doing. Like, fuck what he's doing. He's doing his shit. Like, you need to do your shit.
Yeah, because for some people, I mean, I haven't got ridiculously good genetics, but I'm aware my genetics are okay. If I'm stepping in a bodybuilding show, your genetics have got to be up.
You'll be all right,
yeah. But I'm aware there's people way better, but there's also people with way worse genetics than me. So for them, even the people below to compare themselves to me would be stupid. Yeah, because even if you trained exactly the same way I did, at the exact same way, you're never going to reach the same level. And it's the same for me, but people above.
Yeah, I think people don't want to spend the time actually like finding out the shit that works for them. And I think when you kind of like go through that elimination process of like, oh, I know this set of movements or set of exercise or system, whatever you want to call it, works really well for me. I know this is shit. This never fucking works. I've tried this loads of times. It never works. I'm going to do this. When you rinse and repeat that, that's actually when you actually really, really notice those like insane results.
The debate I always have in my own head about that, when I see people saying, oh, everyone's completely different, just find what works for you. Yeah. I also then think in my head, the human body isn't that dissimilar.
Absolutely not. No.
And there's certain things that will work for everyone. Yeah, there's going to be like differences. But some people act as if like every single human body is completely unique and individual.
No. There's only a certain amount of movements we can go through. Yeah. That's what I said to you. It's like with your training split, I went, it's not going to look like a bodybuilding split, but these are all bodybuilding exercises. It's not like I'm getting you trained like a fucking sprinter or some shit like that. No. It's more of just I'm just going to reorder things to be a bit more ideal for what you need. But you're still bodybuilding. Yeah. And like the result is, as you can see.
Like I recorded my pull workouts, and realistically, other than the first half, it's not that different. Yeah, the order might be slightly different. Yeah. The way I'm executing it might be slightly different with things I'm thinking about. But it's still, on paper, pretty similar to a bodybuilding plan. Yeah.
That's kind of what we always talk about. Like we take the piss out of bodybuilders, but we're still doing it. We're just not doing it the way that everyone's doing it.
Such hypocrites.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we could end it on that. Basically, we're complete hypocrites. Yeah. Don't listen to anything we've just said.
I'll accept it.